Hey there, welcome back to the Well Balanced Mind. I'm Shannon, Rollins, your host, and I am always so excited to bring you a weekly episode of insights to understanding your mind and how to live a happier, healthier life inside and out. And today I have a special guest joining me from Texas, and it's Katie Pijanowski, and she is a body image coach. And today we're going to be talking about body image, and this is something that I have seen, Katie, a ton of my clients go through. And Katie and I actually met in a business coaching mastermind. And so I'm always so happy to bring people on who have helped me in my journey as well. And Katie, thank you so much for joining me today.
Shannon, thanks so much for having me. So excited to be here.
Yeah. And let's get to it. I mean, being a body image coach, first I want to start by asking you, like, how did you get into this in the first place? What really inspired this within you?
Yeah, so I started, I guess the body image stuff has always been relevant in my life, right? Like I think most people can really relate to having some type of body image struggles in their life, right? So I grew up with most of my life with body image struggles. And it wasn't until after I finished college where I found myself entering the health and fitness field. And that's where I really got started. So I really was working off this paradigm for the first couple of years as I was a health coach, eventually got certified as a personal trainer to help people in this realm of health, which was at first around this paradigm of losing weight, right? Oftentimes when we enter this health and fitness space, we are often around this paradigm of if I lose weight, then I will, feel better, wear the clothes, do all the things in my life that I've been holding back from. And what I experienced in my life and 3 years into building multiple businesses with this is that following these really rigid diet plans and always being on the journey of the next like before and after picture essentially is that it wasn't helpful for me. And it really wasn't helpful for my clients either. There was so much deeper level stuff going on there. And being a psychology major, I really wanted to know how I could better support people rather than just prescribing them working out and diet plans. So I myself was struggling and was binge eating a lot. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. Just eating a lot of food, feeling out of control around food, always constantly worried about my body and what it looked like. And so I really had to take a really hard look at those businesses I'd built, and I stepped away from both of them and started to build this new paradigm where it's a weight neutral approach. And I use intuitive eating in my model to really help clients heal their relationship to food, their body, and exercise so that they can come from this place of like partnership with their body rather than trying to punish themselves, which I see so often in the fitness space. So that's kind of what my journey's been up until now. And now I get to bring that mentality into my training as well. I'm still actively personal training, as well as doing the mindset stuff with body image one-on-one.
Yeah, and that's a really powerful story. And the first thing is because you actually took time to take a step back and say, what are the needs for my clients and what are the needs for me to focus on? And that is something that people cannot do easily. So, I mean, I hope that you've recognized that too. That's really powerful. And my background's in exercise physiology and psychology as well. And This is why I wanted to have you on, because this is a topic that is really, really important for women, especially men too. And I'm sure that's a whole other conversation as well. But especially with the women I see that, and it, like you said, it is the relationship with food and the relationship with your body. And what's so important that I feel like a lot of us really kind of graze over is we have a relationship with everything in life. We have a I have a relationship with the chair I'm sitting on right now, and I'm just trusting the chair that it's going to hold me up. Right. You have a relationship with your body, and you're trusting your body to do the things that help you in life. And so that relationship and that intuitive eating, I feel, is so important for people because this whole I'll be happy when XYZ happens, then you're always going to be chasing this thing. Like, what is it even, And so what do you see ideally? What do you normally help people work on? I'm really curious.
So a lot of it is the mindset piece, Shannon.
Yeah.
It's what I realized in when I was starting health coaching and personal training is that that modality really functions from do this, get X result, right? But what I learned over time is that it really isn't about the actions. It's really about how our thinking. And it's really about being able to process our emotions. And really, dieting for me and for many people that I work with is a distraction from a lot of other hard things happening in their life. And when you come to that recognition, like it can be really, really hard. Like, let me just say that
Yeah.
because it's a lot of like reworking these old stories. Our body image is kind of the intersection of so many things. It's the intersection of, you know, how we've grown up, our culture, our socioeconomic status, our what we've been exposed to in the media, our peers, our parents, right? All of these things, our sexuality, our gender, all of these come together to intersect and create our body image, which really has
Wow.
nothing to do with our bodies. It
Yeah.
always has, it's literally a mindset. And so many people, like you had clearly mentioned, they're waiting until they have the body, right, to go out there, start dating. And, you know, I think this conversation is especially relevant today, Shannon, because we're coming out of the end of this long pandemic, right? It's been over 15 months, and a lot of people have had some sort of disruption in their life, in their schedule. And our bodies look different. Heck, my body looks different. And that can be a really challenging thing for many people. And especially now when you're getting all inundated with these dieting ads and commercials, basically feeding on your insecurities. And I work from the opposite. It's like, okay, let's address all these insecurities and actually figure out like how to get past that, right? And I do actually have like a 3-step process that I could share with you if that's cool.
Yeah, no, please share it because the mindset you're right. I mean, before we dive into that, because the other thing that stands out to me is with the mindset piece specifically is we have to already feel like we're worthy. You know, we already
Yes.
have to have that mindset before we're able to even step into like feeling that now, having the happiness now. And so you help
Mhm.
people navigate that. And gosh, it's just I want to jump out of I every time I'm in here, I want to jump out of this chair and just start walking around. I can't. But
Yeah, just get so fired
share,
up.
yeah, it gets me fired up because I love your work. But share your 3-step process. I'm really curious what it
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
So this is just one of many step processes. My personal one-on-one coaching kind of works through a 4-part framework, but I wanted to
Okay.
give you all these 3 C's of body image to really help you navigate some of these things. And the first C is to catch the thought. So like we keep referencing, it's not really about the actions, right? It's truly a mindset. And if we're being inundated by these thoughts of, oh my gosh, I hate the way I look in these clothes. I've gained so much weight. I can't go out into, like, what are people going to think of me, right? Like, all of these are thoughts. And we need to start catching those thoughts. That's the first things, right? So bringing awareness to the fact that these thoughts are going on and that they're not making you feel great. It's the first step. So catch the thought. The second C is to challenge that thought. So one of the things I have my clients do is ask themselves, like, who says that, for example, flat stomachs are the most attractive? Who says that I have to weigh a certain amount in order to be considered fit and healthy? Who says that, right? And oftentimes when we look back in the timeline of their life, they've probably heard that from a parent or a peer or the media that has inundated this, you know, this basically identity structure that we have to kind of go back and like restructure for them because it's become a part of their identity. But when we can ask who says that, like whose voice is that? Like a lot of
Yeah.
times, like when I was looking back, it's like, oh, that was things I heard from the media. Like I'm supposed to want to lose weight, right? And then the last one is to choose new. So choose new. This is where you really start to change that thought, right? Like just like interrupt that thought pattern so that you can get to this new place. And truly the new place isn't going to be, I love my body. I'm so like it might not be that yet. My goal for my clients is get them to neutral. Let's get you to a place where you don't feel awful all the time and you're being inundated by all of these awful thoughts about your body. Let's get you to a place where you're just neutral and you can honor and respect your body from that place, right? So
Yeah.
some of the things that I did in the beginning is I did show a lot of gratitude for what my body was doing for me daily. We take for granted the fact that our body digests food for us without our conscious thought. We are breathing right now as we sit here and talk, and I don't have to think about that, right? I have 2 arms that I can hug people I love, right? We have to be grateful for those types of things. And one of the big struggles I had in doing this work was my belly. I had gained some weight in my stomach, and because I wasn't dieting anymore, my body fell to a place where it was more comfortable. And that was a source of a lot of shame for me in the beginning. So one of the things that I started doing is just making it really neutral. Like, this is a human stomach. And whenever I'd see someone else, that's a human stomach, and that's a human stomach, and they all get to look different, and it's all okay. And just start bringing it back to this neutral place. So just to recap those 3 C's: you catch the thought, you challenge the thought, and then you get to choose new.
Yeah, I really love that. And the challenging the thought, especially asking who says that, because if we're really going off of that, we're basing who says that on another human being making judgment upon us. And going off of another human being's judgment is not the way we do life, right? That's not the way we want to do life. And it really reminds me, the very last thing you said about like, this is just a belly. This is just a digestive system. This digests food. Like, this is going off of that. It reminds me of A Course in Miracles, the book A Course in Miracles. And it's like, you are not, this hand means nothing to me. You know, this belly means nothing. This foot means nothing. This chair means nothing. And I know at the beginning it's really hard to grasp that thought, because you're like, no, this hand, this is an old lady's hand. Like, we could go all day talking about my hands, Katie. But sure. when we think about it, it's when we look at who we are, this is just the meaning that we attach to who we are. And what meaning are you giving? Are you giving yourself enough of that? You've gone through a lot of crap in your life as a human being. And that's what that reminds me of. And I'm really happy you brought that up, because we need to detach from those things to be able to step into a new beginning for ourselves.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you said that, because that's really what it is detaching. But really what we focus on is detaching weight from worth. Because so often we are taught to have those interchanged and interlaced together, and being able to slowly pull those strings back and start to create some space between those 2 things, to where your weight gets to be whatever it is, because bodies are just meant to change. You are not meant to be the same size you were in high school. That is the most silliest thing I've ever heard. Like, we are supposed to change. You are not supposed to fit in your high school jeans. Like, let's just have that
Come
be heard.
on, please, Katie. Like,
I know. But again, it goes back to that thing, like, what are we making that mean about us, right? You'd hit the nail on the head when you said that. It's all about this meaning, right? And when we can look at ourselves for who we actually are, right? So a book that I really recommend for anyone who's struggling with this is a book called More Than a Body by Lindsay and Lexi Kite. They are PhDs in body image, and they did research on body image. And they talk a lot about resilience, but they talk about how positive body image isn't liking the way that your body looks. It's about knowing that your body is good regardless of her appearance. And that is something that really grounds in this work. It's about noticing who you are as a person. What are the talents you bring to this world? Who are you without your body, right? Because so often I see women just disregarding all of these things they've done in their life. They might have been super high in their career. They have, a family, they have a husband, they're doing all these things in their life, but they discount all of those because they don't fit this ideal mold of what their body, AKA, should look like. It's ridiculous, and we need to stop it. We need to acknowledge the fact that we are doing amazing things in our life, and that this body is helping us do that.
Yeah. It brings it back to gratitude. I feel like this overarching theme is that gratitude of your body, and really this should, when you have these thoughts that first step into your system, the should, I mean, I should look like this, I should do that, I should do that. I mean, like, according to who? I just keep bringing it back. Like, who says this, And someone might say, well, the experts in XYZ did research on that. But does that mean that it's going to work for you? Because you're a whole different human than the person over here who worked for them. And so I like your intuitive eating approach to that. And can you share what intuitive eating is? Because that's what I
Yeah.
do.
So
So I want you to do an
yeah,
overview. Yeah.
absolutely. So intuitive eating is like a 10-part framework, 10 principles that were created by two nutritionists. And it's a really great book, but that's really kind of started me into my process. And I think intuitive eating can get really skewed as you see a lot of the information. It's starting to be more of a buzzword now. So it can be very skewed. Oftentimes you're like, oh, I get to eat whatever I want,
Yeah.
disregarding your body's cues, right? That's really what people often will start to make intuitive eating this dieting process of like, oh, it's a hunger fullness diet, right? Like I only eat when I'm hungry and I only stop when I'm full. And it's just not that. It's so much more nuanced than that. And really, I think the best definition of intuitive eating is just to feel as good as possible, as often as possible, and getting more in touch with your body. And in doing that, I mean, being able to get in touch with your body, to trust your body when it comes to food, to exercise, you notice that trust starts to carry over in all different areas of your life. And so that's why like this work of anti-diet, intuitive eating, body image, it's so much more than just the surface level food, body image, exercise, all of that. So much gets to happen when you can just release all of those really negative mindsets.
Yeah. Because the way you think about your body is probably the way you think about other things in your life as well.
Sure.
Is that what you see a lot when you work
Yeah,
with
how you do
people?
one thing is how you do everything,
It
right?
is. It is. And when you say eat for, that's what I do. I eat for energy. If I have
Mhm.
something and I'm feeling really lethargic, if I'm feeling really tired, I'm like, did I have a little too much of rice today? Did I
Mhm.
that because everyone's body is so different. And not only that, we have sensitivities to certain foods based on your body and how you
Yeah.
digest, absorb, whatever's going on, your activity. Like we are all so different, but we're the same. So it's a matter of listening. Your body speaks to you all the time. And Katie, I know I've heard you say this and post things about this too. Like your body is always speaking to you. And it's just about
Yeah.
quieting down and tuning into what your body says.
Absolutely. Our bodies have so much wisdom. One of the mentors that I have in my life says, like, your body is a storyteller. And I think that's so
Oh,
accurate.
I
When we
love
can
that.
quiet down our mind, where all of that
Yeah.
nonsense lives about living from other people's agendas, which is essentially what we're doing whenever we say, I should do this,
Yeah.
then we can start to tune into what's actually true for us. And part of my one-on-one coaching process is reclamation, reclaiming your time, your brain space from all of these. It's essentially like a subtraction process. Like we're subtracting all of these things that we were taught that we need to do, and coming back home to what's actually true for us, which is different for every single person. And when you can reclaim that power, like, wow, like just so many things get to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really powerful. And it kind of reminds me, Katie, of I would have needed you probably like 6 or 7 years ago. It reminds me when I used to compete in bodybuilding. And I
Yeah.
remember I was fine with body image before that. I would do in college, it was a punishment. Exercise was a punishment for me. I will admit that. Now it's to feel good. I've really reframed that. But after I was done with bodybuilding and I put on my regular amount of weight, I had a hard time with my mind catching up with me. It was very difficult because the clothes I was wearing didn't fit anymore and I looked normal and I struggled. I struggled hard. And I know that you probably, and this is the opposite, right? You're thinking, "Oh my gosh, if you're the normal weight," but this is just to prove my point. The point I'm making is this is all about your mindset. This is all about
100%.
mindset. Yeah, and so Katie, I'm curious with something like this, what's just like one lasting tip that you would either give me or give other viewers who are really struggling right now with just how they feel in their body and the change that probably did occur over the last couple years, with all the stress that we've been having. What are some tips you could give our viewers?
Man, I feel
I'm
like
putting you on the spot.
it is like there's so many things, right? Because it's so individual.
Yeah.
But I think if you're struggling with your body image right now, really come back to, again, this overarching theme that we've been really honing on, which is gratitude and recognizing all that your body has done for you. It's very
Beautiful.
likely that most of you listening in have experienced either some kind of, little t trauma or big T trauma during this past 15 months with this pandemic, whether you lost people that you loved, lost a job. There's been a lot of really crazy things. And I think recognizing that and the fact that your body is doing everything it can to keep you alive in this really stressful state and coming back to that can be a really good place to start.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned, it's not like we're jumping the bridge over here to like positive, I love myself all the time, like mode. That's not the goal. But can we start with gratitude? Can we start with, naming the things that we have accomplished in this last 15 months? All that we are without our bodies, right? Like, who are you at your core? Like, do you love
Yeah.
adventure? Do you love learning? Are you, always there for your friends? Those types of things, right? Like, really get down to who you actually are and then come from that place rather than waiting for your body to change or feeling shame or guilt because you don't look a certain way. Like, really, like, people want to just connect with you. When you're going out there in the world and thinking that everyone's thinking about your body and how you've gained weight, like, they're truly not. They're not.
No one
They're worried about
cares.
themselves.
Yeah. And that was so beautiful. I feel like we have to leave it at that because that was such a good tip of just bringing it back to the gratitude. And Katie, you're 1,000% right. People just want to connect with you and not your
Yeah.
body, not like you at your core, your
Yeah.
spirit. Like we're all
Mhm.
just little spirits walking around. That's the way I look at it. And I'm so happy that you came on to join me today. I really am. And this was a powerful talk. And how can people get a hold of you if they want to work with you or they just want to start engaging with you a little more?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I spend a lot of my time on Instagram. So you can find me there, which is my name, Katie Pijanowski. My website is very easy. It's mindandbodystrong.com. I've got all my courses and coaching, free content there. So that's usually where you can find me.
Awesome. Katie, thank you so much for joining me today. And I'm sure I'll be talking to you soon. And
Yes.
everyone, thanks so much for joining this week. And I'll be back next week. You can follow me on shannonrollins.com. And thanks for watching The Well Balanced Mind.